It's been about 2 days, and you've made your way to the Odin Stone. You're some of the last people to get there, although I imagine Hrothvitnesen has been there the whole time. A platform has been built, and villagers have spent a lot of time scraping the moss and the vines off the great stone and revealing the beautiful work underneath, the image of Odin hanged upside down from Yggdrasil. And the finery there, and like the gems and the gold inlay, you think that's a lot of money if it wasn't attached to that holy stone. Yeah, and it's been cleaned out. They've also discovered that like underneath the stone, there's stonework. There's like flagstones and stuff under the water. So obviously it wasn't always under the water. But they built like a wooden platform around it for all of the villagers to stand on during the blot. And they built like a secondary platform a little bit higher up for the wolf to stand on and the sacrifices. The entertainer who had come to Skjalvik approaches you, Jarl. In the days leading up to the blot, Velspar is his name, and he'll like approach and be announced by Skander. Lord, this singer is here to speak with you.
I will see him.
The man comes and stands, and he says, Lord, thank you for seeing me. We've been overwhelmed by the hospitality that we've had here. It's not just silly songs and jokes that we tell, Lord. We are well capable of religious ceremonies and things of that nature. We know a great many respectful songs. We do some stories of the Allfather from the sagas. If you'd like anything like that for the blot, we're happy to provide.
Of course, you're welcome to praise and join us. Your songs and tales would be welcome. I remember that I'd asked for the singer of the best song amongst you. I would still have that man or woman go and play for the troll, Fjorni, who dwells nearby.
Yes, of course, Lord. Though he looks nervous at the thought of meeting whatever that is. Though he tries to take it in his stride.
Then we'll be welcome and glad to have you. And I will look forward to your songs there.
Very good. Thank you, Lord. And he'll leave. The preparations are made, and people come to you with petitions like they want to. Kenrick wants to make sure that it's his cows that are sacrificed, and things like that. People are bringing like their best animals and like their things to sacrifice for this blot. It's like quite a big occasion, and there's quite a bit of hubbub around the village for it. And preparations are made without any issue out in the fens where the Odin Stone is. And on the day of the blot, lots of people will arrive with soot on their faces or like mud or paint, like having painted themselves in the appropriate sort of costume for the blot. And like many of them have like dressed in their sort of finer clothes or like their ritualistic clothes. And the village has like basically almost everyone has like migrated there for this big occasion to happen in the dead of night at the witching hour. And so there's no rain, a little bit of wind actually, like a cool breeze, which is nice, and a great many villagers holding torches, as well as like the two braziers that have been brought here with these great flames that like lick up all around this platform. There's quite a few animals that have been brought here. I think you said you wanted 2 bulls, something like that. But beyond that also, there are goats, chickens, pigs, all sorts of like animals that have been brought here to give great thanks to the Allfather.
There's probably a look of pride in Skjalmod's gaze as he surveys the offerings they've been able to yield up for the gods, or those ordained to be sacrificed by Hrolfvitnesen. And he like stands smiling at the people around, intending to celebrate and give thanks in the beginning of the Blotmanat. Blood for blood, he thinks.
Yeah, and you can tell that people think so too. And there's like a real sense of excitement and like achievement in the air already. Like what they've wrought here. The stone it just gives off a sense of sacredness about it. It's like beautifully crafted and seems like the kind of thing that like you'd have to find a master stonemason for. The detail is like unbelievable. And so many of the people have like already made small offerings like at the base of this stone. There's been a small platform put there so that they can put things there without it dropping into the murky water below. But the time will come fairly soon. It's maybe 2:30 in the morning. And that's when like Hrolfvitnesen, you would emerge, I think, to like begin the sacrificing of each animal.
Yeah, Hrolfvitnesen would show up, not quite in the same state that he puts himself into for fighting, but not too dissimilar in appearance. Kind of strange paints and everything fully done up in arrays and symbols of runes. Make himself as prepared as he can be in the right state of mind to present these offerings. If they can be at such a wonderful stone to do these offerings, it only makes sense that he should appear as best as he is able to, at least appearing best in his own sense of mind, not necessarily what others might agree with.
There's like a hush that falls over the people who are like chatting and fairly merry, though no one's drunk or drinking yet. That comes after. And like there are children here, whole families are like standing together on top of this platform, like watching the blot to come. Velspar begins singing. He himself, like a talented singer, and there are 3 women with him who like sing with him. This sort of like haunting song, and it's listing all the names of Odin in this like repetitive rhythm. As you begin to like climb up onto the platform, there are all these animals arrayed before you, ranging from like small goats through like big pigs, all the way up to these 2 prize bulls of the water cattle. Are there any horses being sacrificed? I don't think you have many here.
I didn't think we had any here.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you do actually. Yeah, so then it would end with the these like great bulls who have all the animals have been painted too with like symbols and runes, and like many of them have been given like fermented fruit and things like that, so that they're a little bit calmer in like the strange circumstances that they're in. And you have like in one hand, Hrolfvitnesen, and you have like the rope that like connects to the 2 nose rings of the bulls. In the other, like the rope that's tied around the neck of the goat and the pig. And the audience, the entirety of Skjalvik and like several more, maybe dozens of people from other villages have like come to see this sacrifice.
Yeah, he would kind of take a moment to like survey everything. That's kind of all happened so quickly. Make sure that he's as prepared as he can be. Look over the crowd to make sure that they're in the proper state to participate. Before he would kind of give a nod to the Jarl to make sure that everything was okay. And assuming that it was, he would begin the proceedings.
Yeah, you can like look out into the crowd and see like a little girl who has like half her face painted black, like the top half and the bottom painted white. And like several people have that same sort of design. Others have like black soot over their right eyes in sort of reverence to the Allfather, and like all these different designs. And like symbols painted on everybody, many of them in like ceremonial dress. You'll see like most of the men and women who have wealth are wearing it, like arm rings and any sort of chains and things like that they have. Everyone's like trying to look their best and behave their best. So do you give the nod, Skjalmad?
Oh, of course. Sorry, yeah. I thought, yeah, I definitely will nod.
So then, Roth Witnessing, you usually will go from like the least important animal to the most. So you like start with the goat, then the pig, then the smaller bull, and then the big one. And it's traditional to just like make it as painless as possible. So either like a hammer and chisel to the head for the bull, certainly, or like a cutting of the throat.
Yeah, he would definitely follow in line with what would be expected from Odin, to the best of his understanding, and with the traditions. He would cut the throat of each animal.
Yeah, so the goat makes this like terrible noise, as is expected, and it kind of like bucks, and you have to like hold both horns as it like kicks like crazy. As the blood drains from it, and very quickly it'll like crumple down, and the blood will run, and you like dip your fingers in, and you'll draw like 2 lines down your forehead. Move on to the pig, which you can cut the throat of as well, and it'll squeal. It's like horrible squealing, and like you'll hear some of the kids in the audience like will cry at like the sight of this, like not sure what's happening and why you're doing it. And you'll hear like some of the parents shushing them and like rocking the kids in their arms and things. Little girls and little boys like watching this don't understand it, but it is necessary, and everyone else knows that. And so you can dip your fingers into the blood of the pig and draw 2 lines on your chin. And then with the bull, are you going to try and cut the throat, or are you going to try and hammer and chisel?
Unless he would have like specific experience that would show him it would be a bad idea, I think cutting the throat would be more in line with him. As far as the wolf goes, is more predatory rather than kind of
Right.
the human way of the chisel and hammer.
Yep. So there's probably like others up there with you. If there's like an apprentice or something of yours, not directly of you, but like others who are like interested in becoming Gothi, they would be up there, and there would be like laborers and stuff holding on to like the ropes and keeping the bulls in check. And you can like walk up to one. It like lowers its head back and forth. It's like a low sort of, and you can like run your hand over its head and like grab a tuft of the hair on the back of this huge creature's head, and like drag the knife across the throat. It like makes this terrible sound and like tries to throw you with like a rock of its head. But you're expecting it, and you're able to like step aside from the like devastating horns, and try and like hold it in place as like everyone else up there tries to hold it in place too. And eventually it will like buckle its front legs down onto the platform, and then its back ones, and will fall to its side. Its eyes still open, sort of mooing quietly as its lifeblood drains first onto the platform and then dripping down into the murky water. And you can take 2 fingers and like put it in the blood of the bull and draw on your left cheek 2 lines. Then it's just the final bull, this big creature like the prize bull of the village. It's obviously nervous, like it's sensed the smell of blood, and as you like approach, it like tries to take a step back.
As it kind of moves, Hrothvitnison kind of sensing the fear in it, and seeing its motion, just this massive muscled creature, he would kind of nod to the other people up on the platform to like help kind of keep it in line. He would kind of make sure that they were moving, not kind of like forcing it, because he doesn't want to stir it up any further, just kind of almost kind of trying to calm and reassure it before the inevitable happens.
Yeah, so maybe you can like pet it quietly on the head as it like tries to calm. It's nervous because there's a lot of blood in the air, and there are kids crying, and like they won't stop crying. Their parents are trying to shush them, but it's an intense thing to see. And like the fire is flickering, and the wind is kind of picking up a little bit, and you can like with the other, you can grab a tuft of hair on the back of this thing's sort of head, neck, and draw the blade across. And it tries to hit you with its horns. It like rears back and like tries to smash into you. Can you make me a dex save, please?
Yes, sir. Okay, that's 16 on the die, so a dirty 20.
Yeah, you can see it coming. It's like slow. You think if it had connected, you'd have been flung from the platform. We're able to like move out of the way, and the men behind it like strain. You can see like veins popping and like muscles tensing as they try and hold this thing in place. It like moves very loudly and makes this terrible sort of scream, and like its front two legs hit the front of the platform, and it like swings its head around. Though there's blood like spraying onto the platform before it, and it starts to like lose its enthusiasm, and then will eventually fall like the other. And you can finally put your fingers in that blood and draw 2 lines on your other cheek, and the blood is complete. No disasters, and the people will like bow their heads sort of quietly. There'll be like a quiet moment as thanks is given to Odin. There's still some kids that are kind of like making noise, that they'll be shushed, and there'll be like a solid minute of quiet. As like you can just hear like the lapping of the water against some of the trees and things like that around. And then you can like hear this like flapping of wings. Everyone is kind of looking down. It's like the traditional thing to do is like look down and give thanks and kind of have a moment of introspection. And you can hear this flapping, and then this like something is pecking at the stone.
And with that, Hrothfitnison would raise his eyes to take a look.
So first you think it must be a good omen. It's a raven. Then you look closer and it's a little bit too small. It's not. It's a crow. It's like singular crow that's like landed on the statue, and it's like pecking at the statue, at the wound of Odin. And like it feels like when you open your eyes and look, that's when it begins cawing. It starts making this like din, so loud in the quiet, and like lots of people start to look up. And they have the same realization as you. Like initially you can see them think this is a good omen, but then they realize that it's not a raven.
And when he first sees the black bird, he begins to smile at the greatest of omens, the sign of the Allfather himself coming down. And then he realized that realization sets in, and it kind of turns into a frown. And he'll kind of like snort a little bit upset, and kind of like look over towards Skjalmod.
Give the Aesir that animal's blood too.
As you say.
So as you like approach towards the statue, it like flies to the top of it, and begins to like call at you, definitely at you as well. And then there's like another one that lands, and another, and there's like this suddenly this like murder of crows on the top of this statue, and they're all like cawing like incessantly and like flapping their wings and things like that as you approach towards the statue.
I think Skjalmod's just perplexed, confounded. He looks to the wolf. He knows these things, and so he looks for him for surety or explanation.
So I, as Jeff, don't necessarily know. Would a crow have a specific symbol or meaning that Hrothvitnison would be aware of?
So the raven is like holy because it's Odin's animal. The crow is not. It's like associated more with like the old faith, and like those old gods that are not so popular.
Yeah, so I think with that, Hrothvitnison would kind of approach towards Skjalmod, not necessarily ready to proclaim anything to the crowd at this point, but he would just look up and say, "The eyes of other things are upon us here today. They are aware of the power the Aesir will give us for these sacrifices. They will see not just these rituals, but the power as it comes. The sign is, it is hard to say, hard to read. There are more eyes on us now than just our own or the Allfathers.
Some of the crows will like fly up into the air, and then will like land on the big bull, and one of them will like peck at the wound. Like a couple of them will like peck at that, and then as you like approach there to like shoo them away, they'll like fly away again, and land on the stone again, like call a few more times, but then will eventually disperse.
I think still I'll send Blonde Maga and one of the Huskarls back to fetch bow and arrow to like skewer these crows, and they probably arrive back uselessly, too late. But I wouldn't want them around, and I wouldn't want the blot stopped, so I'd get Hrothvitnison to proceed once the crows have gone, let them look. I just don't want them profaning the sacrifices or like being on the Odin stone. I think I don't think Hrothvitnison would want that either.
Yeah, you can like get close enough to chase them away and like shoot them away. They kind of like seem to taunt you for a bit. Like they fly over to the cow, and when you move towards that, they fly back over to the stone. But after you like maybe somebody throws something at them, and eventually they'll like disperse away into the fens again.
He sneers disdain as they like grow distant, that they would like come and interrupt like this.
Sensing like the tension, Velspar will begin singing a song of Odin again, like listing his names, and the women will join with him, and he'll like encourage the faithful to join. So now that like the blot has gone successful, there have been no disasters and sacrifice has been accepted. It seems those who are like going to fight, if that has been decided upon, would like get a marking, a rune on their foreheads, probably in the blood of the slain animals.
I'll wait in line with the others till Nocky's taken the symbol to receive my own in blood.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of time goes by as the warriors queue. In Hrothvitnison can paint runes upon the forehead of each warrior, baptizing them in the blood sacrificed to Odin. that will hopefully see them safely through the battle to come. And when that sort of dour part of the sacrifice is done, and like thanks is given for a final time, Velspar will like lead a happier song, like a more boisterous one, and a drum will be brought out, and a fiddle and things like that, and things will start to get a little bit more festive and like celebrative. The people don't seem like overly concerned with the ravens, the crows. They don't seem like too worried about it. Most of them are pleased, and you can see like now the kids are like smiling and laughing because there's music and there's dancing and things like that.
I think Skjalmod would relax a little, but not a lot.
Yeah, Hrothfitness would definitely remain on edge, even as kind of everybody else is kind of getting into a celebrative frenzy. He would remain sort of pensive, kind of glancing up towards this large stone every once in a while, just to ensure that no profane birds mark their presence on it any more than they already have. He would clearly be pretty off-put. He would try to hide it a little bit just for the sake of people who might look upon him, but he probably doesn't do too well at it.
Many of the parents with young kids will come to you, Hrothfitnessson, to ask you to like mark them. It's like their first like big blot that they've been to. And so they'll ask you to like put a blessing on them or to draw a rune on them and things like that, like throughout the night as the festivities continue.
Yeah, he would gladly oblige any requests to do so.
Yeah, and there's merriment and dancing and singing into the night. And Velspar and his mummers will like tell stories of Odin, about how he like stole the meat of poetry, how he like gave his eye to Mimir to gain knowledge, how he hung himself for 9 windy nights from the world tree, and all these stories about the Allfather. And there'll be lots of talk between the warriors, particularly those who don't know each other very well, about battle, which is also a sort of respect to Odin since he's the god of war. And particularly talk about enemies in like a fond way. So people will talk about like enemies that they've killed, and then we'll like talk about them in a sort of respectful way, and like admire their cunning and admire their strength and things like that. Because someday you'll drink with them in Corpse Hall.
Seeing this, Skjalmod will try and banish thoughts of the crows from earlier from his mind and smile at each of the men in turn and be content that they're like mingling amongst each other and not like quarreling like they probably oft have before the blot. And like make a point to sit next to like the captains and speak for a time between them before like moving on to the next.
Yeah, you can overhear Skander like talking to Logir, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, he was huge, and he had this ridiculous, this haircut. What was his name? Lord, do you remember we were in Iskolfin? They came down to raid in Gunland, and we, one of them had that ridiculous haircut.
Hjolfi, the band-legged, I remember.
Hjolfi, that's it. Oh, what a bastard! He almost killed me. Skjalmod here saved me, he'll say, and he'll like raise a cup in your direction.
Still couldn't save his pretty face. He'll like thumb the scar on the young man, like that runs from his eye down his chin before like spilling a bit of mead with the men.
Yeah, Logir will smile at that. He'll tell tales as well about the many scrapes he's been in. He'll talk fondly of what were once hated enemies, but now in the battle to come, the great battle, the only battle that matters, they will be allies.
Yeah, I'll try and not lose, but definitely immerse myself in the merriment and speak of like fondly of Corpse Hall, of impending Corpse Hall, and finding glory in sitting amongst them there as we do now and drink to that amongst the benches.
One of the outlaws, Bjorn, is sitting near you, Hrothvitnison. He's like looking at you, and he's obviously like merry, but there's like a melancholy. You killed Citric. You'll drink with him in the corpse hall. What did you think of the man?
He fought strongly. He did well. We had disagreements, but in the end, a man who steps forward into the square in the Allfather's name and does battle. Any man willing to do so and stand up against someone such as me. They're a man worthy of respect, other disagreements notwithstanding.
He nods, seems pleased with that. And then one of the men in your band, Skjalmod, one of your warriors, he's obviously a little bit tipsy already. He's probably had a bit too much mead. He like looks over and he says, "At least you had the balls to fucking fight." And Bjorn like looks at him.
There will be plenty of time for battle and proof of courage in the days to come. I'll kind of like look towards Bjorn reassuringly. Every man has their time. You will have yours just the same as Citric had his.
This Alfric from your band, Skjalmod, one of your warriors that you brought from Concastellan. He's like looking at Bjorn. You left him there. You let him fight this berserker, and you fled. Coward, he says. And Bjorn like turns to look at him. And he turns to look at you, Hrothvitnison. And then he just like scooches back his chair and stands. You'll take that back now.
Hrothvitnison is going to stand and approach towards this man who's saying these insults. Not quite menacingly is too strong a word, but kind of trying to be a little intimidating and kind of see how he reacts.
He like looks at you, and you can tell from like the glaze he doesn't really like see the intended threat. And he like looks back at the man, and you can tell like the way he's moving. You know, it's like clumsy. I won't take it back. You should have. He's your friend. He's fucking dead. You swore an oath to him, and now what? Nothing. I think at this stage, Skjalmod, you would hear as well, like the raised voices.
Man, he'll say, smiling, like palms open, "Come, there's been enough blood today. What is the heart of this quarrel?"
Bjorn looks at you and says, "This man has insulted me because I came and served you. He called me a coward."
Is this true, Alfric?
He is a fucking coward, Lord. His friend left him there. He left him there to fight the berserker. Should have stood with him.
I was there, Alfric. I saw he stood there and watched Citric fight.
You didn't help him. You let him fight the wolf.
Who didn't help the wolf?
The wolf doesn't need my help.
Citric needed no help either. The skein of his fate was cut that day.
He's like swaying back and forth a little.
The rules of home gang state that it must be a single challenge. It would have been wrong for him to help. It would have been against the gods.
And then he comes and serves you. He's made threaten them. You kill them. And now they're here.
I'll put my arm around him and like try and sit at the bench with him and like gesture to Harkon or Althelm, whoever's closest attending me, to bring bread and things to like soak up the too much meat in this man's belly. And I'll say, "Come, friend, come. Let us think of kinder times." And I'll like try and get his attention off Bjorn.
Yeah, Hakon will come over with bread and water. And he'll like look sort of nervously at Bjorn. You can tell he's like quite angry about the situation. But we can see that your attempt to like calm it. And you can see him you can see the like stages of the process. He like tries to go through it. And then finally he like takes a deep breath. He'll apologize in the morning, Lord.
I'll hear an end to the matter now, and we'll celebrate the rest of the night as friends, he says, with a smile for everyone else, but for a tone, just for Alfric.
I mean, and he's just kind of like slurring for a moment. I don't mean anything by it, you know? I just don't trust you people. You just swear oaths. You're living in the fens, the outlaws. It's no good.
Every man here will prove himself, and woman too, who deigns to come in the fen swamps beyond, where we must reckon with the folk there. That will be the proving ground of these oath men. Until then, we'll all hold our tongues and favour drink and food and song instead. And I'll give Valspar that look of string up yon merry song right now, now, please.
Yeah, he looks. He can like see the tension. He like looks to the fiddler behind him, and he like clicks, and he immediately like plays a jolly one, and like some of the people start like dancing and like clapping along with like the familiar tune. And Bjorn will like look away and walk away from the table. And Alfric will say to you, "He's outlaws, Lord. You can't trust them. They break oaths. You can't trust them. They'll fucking get us."
You may be right, Alfric. Maybe not.
First chance they get, Lord, be a knife in the back. I don't want him in a shield wall.
They've had weeks of chances to rob and flee, and those that have tried have been hanged. And it's not just outlaws that run from the shield wall. I remember your uncle. Every man suffers fear and every man does wrong. And maybe not everyone sins a court by the town carls and a sentence proclaimed on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thank you for your worry. But do not let fear turn into mistreatment for these men. They've sworn oaths just as you. Until they prove otherwise, they deserve to be here at the feast hall.
He like nods, this sort of like over the top nod where he like obviously can't control the weight of his head. And then he like stands and he just like throws up onto the table and like falls back into the chair.
I'll tell Harkon to take a man to escort him back to where he sleeps and have him cleaned up so that no trouble befalls him. And like just move away to let the dogs come to lap at his filth.
No problem. He's brought back to the town to sleep it off. Apart from that incident, like the night is very merry, and most of the villagers have a great time. Many of them will like go come up and thank you for like the merriment and like the generous sacrifice and the order that you've brought. And those who are like willing and not too terrified will also thank Hrothvitnison for like doing the sacrifice and for having it all go well and seemingly no worry about the crow incident. Yeah, it's a pleasant evening. So unless there's anything else you want to do that night, we will follow into the hangover.
No, I don't think there's anything else I want to do specifically at the feast other than what I already said, except sit by Nocky a time and be seen with him since I've named him the Thane, of Felagir. And so I like speak with him as I would the other representatives if there are any of note who came to our blot.
Yeah, like a couple of the aldermen from like the villages would have come, and they would like speak highly of the event, and they would, you know, they would have brought gifts and things like that as well. So the next day, then, there are a lot of sore heads in the village, but like generally very high spirits. Loads of people like calling out to each other in like the morning. People are going to the well to like get their ice cold water to hopefully like lessen the misery of their hangover. People are like catcalling each other and like saying, "Oh, you got with blah blah blah," you know, all these sort of like things, and like jokes being repeated from the night before, and good humor in the village. And yeah, it's up to you guys.
Well, I'd call for Hrothvitnison, Nocky and Thorin, probably afternoon, to give them time to convalesce from the hangover and the after effects of the merriment.
Yeah, Skjalvik didn't drink. He doesn't at all. And so he's extremely chipper and shrill this morning. He's obviously recovered from his injury, though he's a bit of a limp. But other than that, he's mostly fine. He'll like stand at your side. He'll have given you like a list of the gifts and like the cost of the sacrificial animals and things like that. Yeah, the inventory of like the stone and things like that. Progress on the Fenway and outposts and stuff along it, which is going well with no issues thus far. Yeah. And eventually, I think Nocky, Hrothvitnison, and Thorin would like filter in.
Welcome, honoured friends. Come, sit. We have much to do, much to plan. I trust your heads have finished ringing, he says with a friendly smirk.
Nocky's surprisingly cleared-eyed. He didn't really drink all that much during the celebration. Preferring just to watch. That really being the first celebration with the outlaws and the Scumless men have really kind of intermingled as much. So he appears and just grabs some of the leftover food and sits down.
Thorin is like pinching the bridge of her nose, but she'll like sit. She's like squinting badly, and then she'll like open her eyes, as if maybe for the first time this morning, and like will reach for some bread and just like munch on it. I felt worse, Lord.
Chorik and none of the household have seen the wolf. Once he rejoins us, we'll commence with these, and he'll like gesture down to like skins and maps that he's like poured about, and like some sketchings of the fens from their time there.
Ah, here he is now, Lord.
Good. Welcome, Gothi, he'll say, and like gesture to the prophet place.
Yeah, Hrothvitnison will approach, nodding.
I would hear the advice of each of you three bondsmen. how we best assault these fen-folk and rid this scourge from our land once and for all. I'll hear the counsel of each of you and then decide as the Jarl must how we will move forward. So I believe war to be inevitable. They know we are coming. We know we must go. So, how will we? He says, and then sits back to listen.
Thorin lets out a belch and then apologizes. And she says, they're savages. And they don't have steel. We need to lure them somewhere and fight them in a shield wall. In the water, we don't have a chance, I don't think. And that place is full of them. It's not easy to get in. If we can lure them to a battle, I'd say that's the best thing to do.
How would we lure them into battle? Why would they come against steel men?
Yeah, that's why you're the Jarl. And I sit in the shield wall, she says with like this grin.
Thank you for your counsel. I'll turn to the Gothi and the Then.
As of now, well, when we left, they were leaderless. The witch woman dealt with, gone. They are people driven by fear. Fear of strange creatures that live in their lands, that tell them what they must do. With any luck, they will be distracted, divided, as new leadership attempts to take hold. I doubt a woman such as the one that has been removed can be so easily replaced. We can work into that fear, use their fear against them as a weapon, tap into it, make sure that they understand that we are better than the fear that drives them. Perhaps complete slaughter is not necessary, though, as you say, battle in some form is probably a necessity.
How can we make them fear us more than they fear the rower? But by slaying the rower.
We do not necessarily need to make ourselves into the monsters. There's enough monsters in the swamps to go around. Perhaps we can show them that if only they had more allies, they would not need to fear.
He nods as you speak, and once he's sure you're finished, he'll say thank you for your counsel. Have you anything to add, Noki?
I don't think these people would ally under any circumstance. I think their way of life, their fear, whatever it is that drives them, keeps them in the swamp, far greater than any steel we have. The only hope is to wipe them all out, I believe. And to do so in a drawn-out battle. The swamp's not a place for a shield wall.
Nor would they ever meet us in one. I think it unlikely.
They believe that the thing is their god. If you believed Odin came and told you directly to do a thing, I don't think there's anything that would dissuade me.
I think you have the right of it. We must kill their god. That seems unlikely, he says, like wincing from his own still painful, like healing wounds and Thorin's own, I imagine. Which is probably the only reason that she didn't drink herself into such oblivion that she couldn't be here today.
Yeah, she lets out a sort of shudder at the thought of fighting the rower.
Yet in that encounter, we were but 4 men and women. Perhaps with an army such as is at your disposal, such a creature could still be beaten. Great numbers do a lot to make a battle more winnable, even against great creatures like that.
He nods, that is wise, but inside he thinks, and it also adds to the size of the slain. But that is our only advantage, numbers of like proper warriors, as far as we saw anyway. Bone Nose and such, I don't think would hold a fig to any of the like of us or like the Huskarls. And there's probably a little bit of bias in there too. I agree, Noki. They need to be decimated like root and stem. They'll need to be wiped out completely. If anyone has any objections or qualms with that, now is the time to speak of it, not at the needful time.
Regardless of whether we attempt to seek out this rower or not, we should make plans and arrangements in the event that he decides to show up.
I think it's certain that he will come to his flock. If not, they'll be lost to him. I think we'll have the better of it without his intervention. How else can we be prepared but in thinking he will come?
I think that is wisest. To expect him to be there and have plans ready that when he does arrive, we know how we should act. If we react in the moment, I fear the men's fear might get the better of them, no matter how much they would boast otherwise.
Although I'd wish to meet them in a shield wall, I do not think we will find a place here for a proper battle to be pitched, nor will they come to meet us under any like terms. They don't recognize the oaths of the men of the Aesir. Mean to go to them and destroy their holdfast, send it all back into the swamp, and their gods too, or this rower at least. Mean to take most of our host there and go by the ways seen by Hrothvitnesen with boat and raft and attack them at 3 places. The Queen's Gate we saw, the God's Gate, and here in between the two. And split their defense and push to hold their 3 central islands. Once that's done, I figure they will retreat here at any point from the initial landing here to when we can get up to the Queen's Holds. The rower may come, or maybe amongst them. So it should be us and our group that seeks him out, or the losses will be less kind, I fear.
And how do you plan on splitting the forces across these 3 attack points?
Thorin would lead one, the center, you, the right flank at the Queen's Gate, and myself at the God's Gate with what's left. Forces divided into 3. A dozen or more men each, and then boys and levies to come. The ways are narrow, so we cannot push through with great number in either case, even if we take them all. So better to split their defenses is my thinking. Attack them in several places, narrow though they may be. You are the most fearsome amongst us, and I would have you lead the van initial attack. Set a wolf amongst these sheep, so to speak.
Odin will be glad to see what wrath we reave. I will gladly lead.
I would send Bjorn and the other men who swore oaths to me at the Jotun Tower with you. They will form a wedge behind you. They know how to pillage, kill, rob, and kill the innocent. So they will do the hard work there. And he points on the map to where there's like a bunch of hovels and such, but only after the fighting is done. When the rower appears, you may hear this, and he like turned to like the rack behind him where there's 3 horns slung. Either of these, one will be in my command, the other in Thorin's, and the third in yours. We will blow this to call the others to us when the rower should come, or twice when we are in great need, thrice if we need be to retreat, and anything else we need to work out. we can do so on the march there, for I intend to leave tomorrow before dawn. At least the crows will not see us till sunlight, or give us many hours head start on them. He says that, but he doesn't believe it.
Yeah,
I would hear your
Hrothfitness
criticism on this.
Yeah, Hrothfitness
Sorry.
would nod, but it would be clear that he wouldn't believe it either. But he would have no objections to the plan.
Your eyes are better than mine, the both of you, he says. What pitfalls I might not have seen, you may have when we journeyed there last.
We passed by a small hut on the way with the boy.
Aye.
Eyes upon us in the swamp may give them warning we're coming.
It's true, and it's very likely that he or the kith with him, there are messengers to the greater community beyond. They would all have to die or be silenced, but quietly. You will ensure that happens.
I can do that.
My figuring here is to hit them first with the wolf, send him amongst them, chaos, and then we strike at the second, like in the center with Thorin, and what men I'll give to her, so that those at the God's Gate facing us and the bulk of our host will have to decide whether to stay there or move to help their companions. Either way, once the first two attacks have commenced, we will push in there and fight beneath their antlered pagan gods, and butcher Bone Nose, one of many, and many more. I expect many to die, and half our host at least to be put out of action through wound or mishap. I expect men will desert. But I think we can win. If you fight half so well against the rower as you did against Citric, they are doomed. If not, well, they'll hound us through the swamps and kill every one of us, no doubt. So we'll both be fighting for our lives.
I would pit the best of theirs against the best of ours. I don't see a contest there, Thorin says. They're not warriors. They're hunters, maybe. They don't know how to wield a sword or an axe or a shield. Savages.
That is true, but pit the best 4 or 5 of us against the rower and it would be folly, he says, like no small amount of poison in his words.
It is also foolish to underestimate the benefit of the environment that they have. And in any fair fight, our warriors would decimate them. It would not be a battle, but a slaughter. But if you expect a fair fight, them to line up with blades ready to run into our lines, shields up, you are sadly mistaken. They'll hide in the trees, in the water, wherever they can. They will attack from behind. They will attack.
I imagine they will pit stakes and such in the water too, and conceal barbs in the mud walls at all of the approaches, and worse, that we have not yet thought up. Perhaps we should send Noki and those who know these swamps best as like a forward screen to deal with these things. Lightly garbed and armored folk who know the swamps and their pitfalls best.
That may be best, though our warriors are greater, undoubtedly.
We
Does
must
not
get them
matter
onto the
what
land.
part.
True, sorry.
I only meant to say the strength of a warrior is only as meaningful as the battle that they get to fight with their skill. They die in some terrible swamp death, or they're snuck up on stabbed in the back before proper battle can happen. And skill matters not. You should be prepared for all manner of terrible deceptions, sneak attacks, ambushes. Not the sort of glorious battles that these men are used to fighting.
I thank you all for your counsel. Are we in agreement on this?
Yes.
Our lord.
Noki.
Aye.
Very well. We'll have Valspar strike up a war song on the Tagal harp, let drums be played, garb ourselves for war. We go north to face them for once and all.
Lord, will we take... We'll take our warriors, but there are a great many in the villages who are of good age that could fight.
Aye. Levies and young boys willing to prove themselves like Hakon and Althelm. I believe we could rally many of them, though not so many rafts and boats enough to carry them all. We could pick from them the best. You could see to that.
I will.
By my count, we have 3, 19, that's 22 and 30. 52 plus us, 56 warriors. So in addition to that, whatever he can muster, that we can still actually feasibly ferry to there.
Yeah.
Because I imagine we've got more boys than boats, right? So with that in mind, given that order.
Okay, yep. So she'll set about that task. How many boats do you have? Probably like 10. I think
In terms of the boats, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
In terms of the boats, if you're thinking of sending the outlaws ahead, is it possible to kind of skirt around the land as much as possible and come in from, east or west, as it were?
Yeah, so you can actually...
Before the main force kind of comes through.
Yeah, so all of the islands have fences and spikes and stuff on them, and there are gates between all of the the waterways into the place. I think the idea was that you and the outlaws would move ahead to one of those gates and then try and cause.
Yeah, I'm talking before we even get to that point. So, Noki's thinking that if he can take out that hut where we saw the boy before the main force even is close to rolling through, then he could just send a couple of men. He's not taking 10 men up to go and have a look. He's just sending a couple to be sure they're sneakier.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And then wait for the rest of them.
I mean, I think it's possible. Skjalmad?
Yeah, I like it. Kill their eyes before the dawn while we're still pushing up. Send the men with you forward as fodder, and then we'll push through after them. I've put up a map on my overlay of sketch, and you can see the 3 kind of assaults, red, blue, and green, that I want to push. Ours is the green. Thorin's in the strong center is the blue, and the wolf and the killers up the top there. So hopefully we can just hem in the 2 towers and what serves as their barracks hold from everything else, and just systematically slaughter everything in there, and then use our own rafts and boats to push onto the Queen's Hold and do the same there. Rinse and repeat, I should say.
So the idea is to take those 2 southerly islands.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
First assault being the wolf, the second being Thorin and the Huskars, and the third, once they've both commenced, us at the God Gate.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good to me. Let's take a quick break there, and then we'll get to the slaughter.
Wardruna time, war music.
All right, I'm back. Did you catch, Jeff, where Naki was going to be in the actual battle?
I did not.
Yeah,
I
me
think he
either.
might be with Nico
Right, okay.
with Scale Mod, but I'm not positive.
So trying to piece it together in my brain to like figure out this thing.
Yeah, the old like 5-way party split mass combat.
Yep. You know.
Classics.
Just your favorite activity as a GM. Did you hear checks where you're going to be in the battle? Because I didn't catch it. I'm not sure.
Well, unless I'm separate from the Outlaws, I guess I'm with. Well, I can't see it on the map. What colour that is? The red. All right.
All right. The
I
first
think that
one
was
is
the right side.
the first one is the Wolf and the Outlaws. So maybe you're with that.
That's what I was thinking.
We can ask the Jarl when he returns.
I mean, as soon as the roar shows up, if that happens, Noki's running away anyway, so we'll have to fight another day.
I think with like 20 people, we could probably take him.
Yep.
I mean, as long as 19 are sent in before Noki, he's fine with that.
Yep, it's the old split the party and do a mass combat trick. Definitely times like this that I wish I did more prep, you know. Okay, we're ready. So you set off before dawn the next day. Actually, probably during the night, Naki and some of the outlaws set out. And you'll like get a decent head start. You'll be ahead by quite a couple of hours. But back in Skjalvik, like preparations are made well before dawn, and everyone is ready for war and on the boats just before dawn. What's the story with like those who have mail and stuff? Are they to wear it?
No, chain shirts or lighter. No chain mail. Wooden shields are fine, but not metal rimmed shields. And like helms are fine, but not like the spangled helms.
Yeah.
I don't want men to have poor perception in the swamp. So that would be the order. Unfortunately, any men who are disgruntled, just explain to them the folly, or maybe get someone to example swimming in a nearby body of water with all that stuff on before seeing the order carried out. I assume this would suit like the folks who aren't my Huskars, but but they'll have to part with it.
Particularly like Skander, Gunnar, like the wealthier of your men who have like always fought in shield walls, and are used to like the heavy protection that like mail, helm, and shield brings, are like maybe a bit more nervous about the fight than they were, but they understand probably better to be quick and not drown. And so like all those preparations are made, and you can begin again, it's not really sailing, rowing your way towards the village of the fen-folk. Naki, it's still dark as you are moving through the swamp, trying to follow that route as best that you can back towards the fen-folk village. It's a scary place at night, the swamp, particularly like if you're in the boat. It seems like there's more wildlife at night than there is during the day. Insects are just everywhere, more so even than usual. And a few times the boat is like bumped by something big swimming in the water. You once or twice see those huge fish, like one of them leaps out of the water and catches a bird, and like pulls it down into the murk. And like many of the men are gripping their Mjolnirs as they sail through the darkness. No torches lit to avoid being seen, and the poles moving silently as possible through the water. You continue for quite some time until you will, in the distance, see just the slight hint of like an ember of a fire in that house that you had seen the boy in.
The flames kind of come into view. Naki will look on the bank for somewhere to berth the boat and motion towards the rowers to take it that way.
They nod silently. So the house itself is up on stilts, and there's like a ladder that leads up to it, and they can like get you close to it and like try and arrest the movement of the boat. There's a little bit of like as like they bring it to a stop, but there's no sound from above.
I'll point to Fenya and Sven and motion for them and skip off the boat. I'll wait until there's an animal call, something loud in this kind of noisy environment at night before we start making a move.
Yeah. So there's like this sudden bird call. And you can reach out and grab one of the rungs of the ladder and begin to move up it silently. Or we'll see how silent with a stealth check, please.
Oh, sorry, was my mic turned on there? No.
No.
No. Yeah. Sorry, that should be very silent. It was a 28.
It's extremely silent, yeah. So there's not even a creak from the rungs of the ladder as you like expertly make your way up it, like pausing at each one to make sure that the weight is solid and that there's nothing going to creak. you move up, and you can just like see into the house. There's like an ember of the fire that's like put on stones so that it doesn't set the place on fire. And you can see like the feet of some people sleeping in there.
That we can see in kind of opening.
Yeah, there's like a door. There's no actual door. It's just like an awning.
Right, I see.
You know, yeah.
I'm going to crouch down and begin to move forward. But before I do so, I'll tap Venya on the shoulder and make a motion towards the sleeping figures. So she's got an arrow notched.
Yeah, she does so. She like reaches very quietly and like pulls an arrow out of the quiver and has it notched.
And I'll make my way towards the sleeping figures. Obviously staying out of line of fire.
Yeah, there's 4. There's a man and a woman, and then obviously like a son, and then a younger son, which is the boy you had seen before.
Mm-hmm. So as Noki kind of passes by the embers, he's going to look over at Fenya, give a nod, and he's going to swipe at the stones to knock the fire off, hopefully trying to put it out. So as soon as she fires that arrow, it descends into darkness.
Nice. Crafty. Yep, you could do so, and she'll fire. Venya, in the dark and in the stressful situation, does not hit. Unfortunately, she rolls a 5. She like pulls, and maybe there's like a, and then like lets go, and there's like, and it like thunks into the wood. She's clever enough not to swear, although you can definitely sense it from her, like this disappointment. Let's see how sleepy these people are. Perfect. So they remain asleep, except for the boy who rolled a crit on his perception. He like stirs and like opens his eyes, and he can see like the arrow like thrumming above him. He like sits up and looks around. It's dark, and he's like squinting, but he can make out your outline.
Of the boy looking my direction, Noki leaps, dagger out.
Okay, let's do initiative. Okay, so you like leap forward. You can go, and then we'll go into initiative. You leap forward with the dagger.
Okay. 25 to hit the child.
Mm-hmm.
Poor kid. It's only 4 damage though.
That's because they're going to kill him. So you can like leap forward and just. I feel like Noki is the kind of person who kills quietly, and so the boy like just lets out this whimper and then dies quickly. But the noise of like the thud as you like hit the wood, like will wake the others. They'll like turn. The mother will like sit up and see what has been wrought and just like begin screaming. She will like pick up this club next to the bed, and it's going to try and brain you with a 12.
No, Noki will quickly dodge out the way.
She's just like screaming and screaming and screaming. And she's like trying to smash it with this club, but is unable to do so. And it's your turn.
He's going to try and kind of like punch her with his offhand, which will be a 18.
Absolutely.
And then as he kind of dazes her, he's going to bring the dagger around, which will be a 24.
Definitely.
For 12 damage all up. Sorry, 11.
Okay. That's going to kill her for sure. So you like drop the boy's body and like move over and just a quick punch, and it like cracks something in the jaw, and she just like hits the bed. Like you hit the nerve there in the jaw. Perfect punch, and she is down for the count. The larger form of like the father, he like wakes up and he sees this man in his house, like with a weapon in his hand. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's going to try and grapple you. So it'll be, give me athletics, please. Or acrobatics.
Acrobatics will make it a 23.
Okay, yeah, he's not that good. So he like goes to retreat and maybe grabs like your arm for a moment, but you're like able to twist out of the way, and he loses grip. He will stand for his turn, and he will shout. The boy is slain, and so the younger son will awaken at like the chaos, and he will stand. He like says something to the man in a language that you don't speak, and he shouts, and so the boy runs forward towards you to try and grapple you also. Other acrobatics, please.
Yep, that was a 22.
Okay, yeah, he can't get you either. You're too quick, and these are like not warriors. He tries to get you, but he's unable to do so. Okay, the mother is dealt with. Your turn.
So with his offhand bonus action for this one, he's going to bring the elbow around to connect with the boy's face, as his intention, which probably won't do it because that's an 11.
11 actually won't do it. Yep.
Okay. So in that case, knowing that he's missed, he will spin round and attempt to stab the boy. For a natural 1.
Oof, interesting. Oh yeah, I'll get them to go in a second. So you like go to stab the boy, and he like sees it coming, and he like grabs the wrist and maybe like bangs it against the wall, and the shock causes you to like drop the dagger in like close confines of this place. Sven like moves in behind you and like with his Sayax is going to try and stab the father. 3, so he will miss. Like the father is he's a big man, and he's able to like see the blow coming and like grab at the wrist. He's holding it above him as Sven tries to drive it down into him. Fenya is going to try and shoot the father. I don't think Svenja wants to kill a child. She gets 15, so she'll hit the father for sure. 6. 3, 4. Okay, so she like fires the bow, and it grazes the father's shoulder. He lets out a grunt, and then it's his turn. He is going to try and grapple Sven. Will you roll for Sven for me, please? He's got a let's say a +4.
+4 will make it a 22.
Jesus. Okay. Yep. So like the training and the practice that you have had really pays off, and it's the same with Sven. He's able to like use his body weight and shift out of the way, and the father's unable to get him. The teenager's going to pick up the knife that you dropped, and he's going to try and stab you with it. So 15.
15 hits.
My goodness. It'll be 5 damage.
Okay.
So he like manages to cut your arm. Maybe he's like bring it up to protect your face, and and that's the teenager. Back to you.
Okay. So with his offhand this time, he's going to try and gut punch the kid for an 18.
Yep.
And the second one, he's going to duck down as the kid kind of bends over with the and grab one of the stones that he knocked over and bring it up and try and connect it with his temple.
Nice.
For a, can math, 23.
Yep.
Eight damage, sorry.
8. Okay. Yeah. So the and that's total for the punch and the rock.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So you like punch him and he bends over, winded, and then you like smash this rock into the side of his head, and there's like blood immediately, and he falls to the ground, though he's not unconscious. He is on the ground. I'm gonna say from that blow, there's no way this kid is able. Svenja is going to try and shoot the father again. Fenja, rather. She misses again. Sven is going to try and stab him, which he will do. Okay. So this man is like trying to fight for his life. He's been shot in the shoulder, and he's got like Sven's arm above him, like trying to hold it so he can't stab him. And Sven knees him in the groin, and then as he like bends over, like shoves the dagger, the sayax, down into his shoulder and into his heart, and pulls it out, and then turns towards the boy. Father is slain. The teenager has one last chance. He's going to try and stab you in the groin with that dagger, but misses. It's your turn.
Is he still? I guess he's not technically prone anymore. So
Yeah, he would have stood.
how close is Sven? Just out of curiosity.
He's like 2 feet away.
So this is going to kill the boy for sure. Because that's a 20.
Yeah, he's got 2 hit points, so he's done for. You can, yeah.
Noki puts a foot on the boy's chest as he kind of lunges in at him and knocks him back into the wall. And as he kind of drops to the floor, sending Noki's dagger scattering across the floor back at him, he stops and picks it up and just marches towards the boy, who I imagine just glares at him in his final moments as Noki just bends down and slits his throat.
Yeah, he gargles for a while before finally there's silence.
Or kind of rags, blankets, and he's wrapping his bodies up. Assuming Sven and Fenja will take the follow his lead, and he'll drag them outside. He'll tell Sven to go to the boat, bring it up onto the banks and hide it somewhere in the swamp for now, and him and Fenja will start to basically dump these bodies, weigh them down, dump them in the swamp waters.
Yep, very doable. It happens. There was not enough noise here for anything to really happen. There was some screaming, but you're still like a bit away from the actual encampment, so there's nobody here at the moment beyond you. So you're able to like drop those bodies into the swamp to sink down. The army is rowing and poling its way through the swamp, and will arrive like maybe 3 hours after Noki has finished his grim business and the bodies are buried at that house. Close, but not quite, at the fen-folk's village. It's at this stage that you'll have to like split your forces and go different directions if you want to come at the village from different directions. And you've done me some forces there. So Noki
Yeah, Noki's got 9 outlaws, advanced party of us. The wolf's taking 10 outlaws for his flank, like initial attack. Thorin with 10 Huskarls and 12 of the levies from Skjalvik in the center to push second.
Mhm.
And then pretty much everything else that's listed there with what's left at the God's Gate.
Okay. Yep.
If we're going to split our forces now, then I'll use this time to use my feature. Doesn't have a name. It's part of my et.
Oh yeah.
When speaking with a group of people for at least a minute, I can do a intimidation or persuasion check. The difficulty will be set by you on a success. All warriors that see and hear me gain +2 to damage for actually 1 minute. We're not 1 minute away if we're splitting up now, are we?
No.
I would imagine not.
That needs work because if a minute for a minute is no good, I want to write that down.
Okay, in that case, yeah, I'll save that for when our third meets the God's Gate. I still will say words to those men, but they'd be hushed and just like going over the plan again and reminding men of their oaths and their part in the battle to come. And yeah, again, I'll say farewell and good luck to Hrothvitnesen and with the order to like push up on that gate, get inside, and then just cut and kill your way to Thorin's force, and then do the same through to our force. Just as rampant and barbaric as you can be, but swift most of all, to like push through to her, to push through to us. And I imagine, like, we don't have to go into it now, but I imagine we would have worked out horn signals for like different like rudimentary messages across the battlefield, which we don't have to litanize now, but I'll go through them once more and then bless the men and wish them well as they like depart into their 3 squadrons. And
they do, poling silently through the swamp, or silent as they can, as silently as that many men can move, gliding through the swamps towards the different parts. So you're going to wait, Skjalmod, kind of out of view of the God's Gate, and then approach it when you hear the sounds of battle.
And I want to arrive at the God's Gate first, and then want to wait till I hear those 2 battles joined before we push. I want them to come and look. I want one of many and all the rest to be at us while we then push at the other 2 gates. Yeah. Okay. But I'm not going to attack. Like, I'll be arrayed up on those boats as if I'm about to push an amphibious assault, but I won't commit until, as I said, I hear the other 2 forces or something else comes up, of course. Yeah. But I definitely want to be seen by them. I want to be the first to be seen so that they're kind of gathered there to make those other defenses weaker.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So then you can approach the ominous God Gate, this like enormous construction, these 2 kind of wooden towers with a rope bridge between them. And you can see the frightening carving of this strange antlered god and the bowl, I guess you would call it, of his legs, where you had seen sacrifices before. There's definitely one man at the top of that tower, and he would see like these boats approaching. You've quite a few with you. There's probably at least 3 boats there, maybe 2. And he would like look and call out, "You come for peace."
If it can be had.
He like looks behind him and then says something to somebody out of sight. He seems to be like shaking somebody, and another figure will stand.
With whom do I speak? One of many or another one of many?
We are all one of many. You are one of many.
Here now? Who rules here now?
Oh, we all do. No queen. And the rower has not come back.
He may yet.
He nods. We fear.
I'm gonna roll. Can I roll an insight check on those words to see if he's misdirecting me? I believe him. Take him at his word.
It's kind of odd. There's like this sense of like listlessness or like directionlessness, you know? Like they don't seem to have clear orders about what to do in this situation. Like last time, it was much more military and much more organized, and here it seems a little bit sort of wishy-washy.
Still like paranoid of a ruse. I like won't make any alterations to what we've like declared to carry out.
Yeah.
I'll just continue like trying to talk to or like gain the attention of whoever will come to like look down looming from the God's Gate.
Yeah, I mean, they'll start to send messages, obviously, like surreptitiously, and people will start to, or like more of them will start to appear on the top of the bridge, like just in case. And you'll see that there's probably 10 of them up there, and then more that like gather up there. And yeah, they'll talk to you like sort of warily, but not aggressively. But there's no leader now. It's only been like less than a week, I guess, since you were here, and the queen has died, and so there's obviously disarray and confusion. On the other side, you've like gone through the ritual. You've smeared yourself in the necessary paint and herbs. You've like drank of the mushroom tea, and you can like see the battle lust upon you. This you can see before you this like insane fortress is what you would see Hrothvitnison of like flames and moving among these like strange figures that are like wreathed in flame. You think you're in Muspelheim, and the heat is like unbelievable. Although you know it that it's raining, you can like feel that, but still you like feel this heat, and you believe that you're in the land of the fire giants. And you can see them like pacing. Some of them, one of them is like squatting down by the gate and is like pulling something. It looks like this huge net that it pulls with its enormous hands out. And this gigantic fish inside, this giant fishing in lava. The rest of the people on the boat see a woman pulling a fish out of the water in the middle of the night as morning comes. As the boats kind of approach silently, and you can hear almost the shouting at the gate, though it's not aggressive. And you can like pull up to that small gate. It's basically like a couple of like wooden trunks that have been like tied together with rope and vines and stuff that have been like sunk between these two places, so you just can't sail straight in. And there's like a sort of simple mechanism that you can, you know, use a pulley to like pull it up to allow boats to get through. Pull to the side, I mean. And so you can see, and you can like pull up alongside that and either get out and climb over the spikes and fences, or try and figure out a way to open the gate before you.
How sturdy does the gate itself look?
Pretty sturdy. You think you wouldn't be able to lift it. Like it's definitely not something one person could lift. It's like maybe 3 or 4 pretty significant logs that are like tied together with ropes.
I think with that, Hrothvitnison would try to gather a couple of the more capable outlaws, maybe just like 3 or 4 of them, to climb over with him so that they can try to open the gate from the other side to let the rest of the people in.
Yeah, you can approach quietly, though you may be panting like a wolf. The outlaws are much quieter, and they're able to like get to the wall and climb over without any issues. They like pull themselves across these spikes and fences, and in the other side, there's like a as one of them cuts the throat of the woman who is fishing, like turned away from you, and pushes her body into the swamp, and you can climb over yourself if you give me a acrobatics or athletics check.
Yes, sir. That is a 17.
Yep, you're able to climb over, and as you like look around, you can see just like this insane heat, but then you like can see glowing like this very clear, like it's a sign from the Allfather, the pulley, and you can move towards it. and you and the outlaws can like pull on it and pull open that little gate. The logs will like move to the side, but no one seems to stir, and the boats can pad their way in.
Yeah, once the gate is up and the boat is through, I imagine Hrothvitnhis and himself probably wouldn't have much as far as words. They would have had enough coordination before that he would just be able to, in this state, look over to whatever outlaw was kind of acting second in command, and nod to him to give the orders to start the move and begin the attack.
Yep, it'll be Bjorn, and he'll like give this like hiss. And the outlaws will start moving into houses, and like the first two houses, they're able to like walk in and just you can hear. But then one of these people obviously isn't killed immediately, and then there's a scream, and like an alarm is rung. It seems, not literally, but there's a scream, and some people start to wake, and like a wakefulness comes over the place, and there's much chaos at the front gate. This man shouts down at you, "Peace! Peace!"
You could have come to Skjalvik to pay homage, to lay your blades at my feet and surrender then, as I did, humbly, with no foemen, speak with your queen, beguiled as she was. 2 moments of peace that have slipped by like water through your hands. Too late. It is too late for peace. Then he'll grab his war horn and bring it to his lips and blow it, signaling Thorin to commence her attack now. But still with his great host, not great host, but with his bulk of forces there at the God's Gate, won't give an order for them to attack yet.
And then you can hear like the moments later of that gate being like pushed open, and then you can hear like the charge and the shouting of the people with Thorin, and shouts of Odin and Tyr as they like rush in. And you can see now that there is resistance, like people are coming out of houses, and you can see shouting and things like that, and many of them are running to that central tower of stone, and like climbing into it, and you can hear the of slings being fired. We're going to roll initiative. Okay, so the horn ascended, and you can hear the sound of Thorin and like the greatest warriors, for many of them, like pushing through that gate, and you can even see them because you're on the far end of the island. Begin to fight, but around you, Hrothvitnhis, there are only fire giants, and you yourself have hands that can kill them. One of them is just like this like enormous female fire giant with fiery hair. She like steps out of her house and like roars something at you in this sound that's just totally overwhelming. It's like this, and she like points at you. And then there are two others, men who like step out in this insane Muspelheim battle that you see around you.
Rothwitnesen is going to look, seeing just like smoke coming up from everywhere, flames coming from every person and from everything. His senses like overwhelmed, but somehow he has no fear or no disorientation. It somehow is right that things are like this. Is this woman like the biggest of them? He's gonna try to see who's like whoever looks the biggest and the strongest. He's gonna run for them.
Okay, yeah. So one of the men is much bigger. He has a beard that is like slowly dripping, and every time it drips onto the ground, there's like a flame that follows. That would be Harrow.
If I can reach him with a 35 move speed, I will.
Yep, you can rush over towards him.
Yeah, Rothwitnesen is going to kind of just let out like a snort, just a kind of like breathing even heavier, working himself up into a just this frenzy of a haze. Just begins sprinting out of nowhere, just from like a dead stop into a full sprint, and just leap at this person, just starting to try to smash and claw at him, and is really going to mess his day up. So that is going to be the lowest of the attacks is a 23.
Yep, they will all hit.
And the fourth one is going to be a crit.
Okay.
So, yeah, I need more. I don't have enough d6s for this. Okay. So let me do some math here real quick. That is going to be 35 damage.
Yep. It's going to do it. So you just run up to this fire giant. He's like enormous, but you like leap up into the air and like climb up him. You like shove a hand into like his gut and like pull out his burning hot intestine and like spills down onto the ground and like creates a bonfire behind you. You like keep climbing and like shove a hand up and pull his heart out. And it's like this glowing hot rock that you can like discard, and it hits the water with it. And he is very much dead.
Yeah, he's gonna like take the Dunnerwolf tooth that's around his neck and like use that to start like hacking in to his body even more. So the hand of Odin slaying these giant foul creatures as like the fire dissipates into smoke.
Naki, you can see Rothwitnesen has like leaped on this man who like came out of his hut to see what was going on. He's like armed with a frog spear, and he's like run up to him and like pulled a big string of his guts out, and then like reached in and like burrowed into the man's chest and pulled his heart out, and then thrown it into the swamp.
I don't even know what to say to that. Noki kind of gets distracted by that when he runs into the fray, and his initial swing of the battle goes wild and misses.
Okay, yep. Tiard, who's the other man here, he like sees you coming. He's like very aware now that there are enemies after seeing the horrible thing that Rothwitnesen just did. And he sees you coming, and he like takes a few steps back and like ducks under the swing. At the front gate, one of many starts screaming in his own language, and then you can like see all these like heads pop up from the rope bridge and from the towers, Skjalvik, and many of them like turn to face inwards to where Thorin and those people are, and you can see many of them like getting the slings ready, and you can hear the cling cling, and also the as like some of the bullets find purchase and the of many who are hit. from up here on top of this tower. One of many, though, is going to place a bullet in a sling. He's going to whirl it around. He's going to fire it at you. You stand in your war glory. It's a 19 on the die, which will certainly hit.
That hits.
It's going to be 4 points of damage from that one. The second for a total of 20, which will hit as well. And that one's going to be 3. So these two quick slingshots that he slings towards you. And it's your turn.
El Bull roar for the men to advance in the boats and to attack for Skander, Blonde Magni, and the other of those 2 sworn swords to take those towers and kill those slingers, and for the rest of the men to surge out. I'll make sure that the levies that are with me know and hearken that they know to go first before the proper warriors, as they've been trained. And I'll have a Hakon, Athelm, and 4 warriors close by me as I push forward with them. I'm going to spend all 4 of my warlord dice for my action, blow on my horn, use concerted strike.
Nice.
So 12 and 7 is 19. So I'll call for 19 of those between Hrothvitness and Thorin's party to cut down those foemen they've already engaged. So as a reaction, that many people can make a free attack, which obviously I'll give to Noki and Hrothvitness, and then all the rest between their warriors.
There's just like this insane scream of like a Odin, and then you can hear like the splintering of bones and the shattering of ribs and the hacking of skin all over. And the screams of the fen-folk as they suffer under this. Noki and Hrothvitness, you can both make an attack.
And that is going to be 19 for me for 6 damage, assuming that hits.
Okay, yeah, it does. And Noki?
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for you to resolve damage there. 24.
That'll hit for sure.
Is yeah, well, I'm within 5 feet of the wolf, yeah.
You are indeed.
Oh, fantastic. That'll make my damage 16 then.
Okay, Tiarda's still up, though badly wounded. He's been slashed by the claws of Hrothvitness, but then shanked in the back when he wasn't looking by Noki. And all around there's just this devastating strike everywhere of the Huskarls and the warriors. You can see, actually, you probably hear rather Thorin's war scream. And maybe you could see it actually, Wolf and Noki. You can see her leading the charge with her shield. She smashes it into the face of one of these fen-folk and then swings her sword downwards in a killing strike. The fen-folk respond, though not as deadly, with just this like volley of bullets from the top of the various towers that they have. These like slings that just rain down from everywhere, and like a hail of spears also. So I'm going to need all of you guys to make me a dex save, please.
Oh, 19 on the die for a 19.
That is going to be a 17 for me.
Okay.
It's going to be a 9 for me.
Okay. So you'll take full, Naki. The other two will take half. Okay, so you'll take 7, Naki, as a bullet like slashes across your cheek. The other two you'll take 4. As just these like missiles rain down from all over, and you can see that they're trying to get into the tower, then up to like avoid fighting you on the ground. Okay, Silka, this fire giantess that you can see standing near you, Hrothvitnison. She does a strange thing. She's like got both her hands raised to the sky, and she's like shouting and screaming. And you can see these like white hot tears that like fall from her eyes over her cheeks and then spill down onto the ground, each one as it hits the ground. And then she like reaches into a pack and pulls out this like glowing little knife and stabs it into her own heart, and like falls down onto the ground, and then stabs it again and again until she turns cold and dies. At the top of the tower, where you are, Skjalmod, all these slingers are like whipping the slings as fast as they can and firing down upon you. That'll be a 20 to hit.
That hits me.
That'll be 6 bludgeoning. Piercing, maybe. I don't know. From the bullet.
They're both, probably.
Yeah. And there's 2 of them. Okay. That one will miss with a 14. I think that misses, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yep, so they're slinging down upon you, and you can see like some of the boys, not the boys, not the actual boys, like the boys, the lads, get hit around you. But it's like smacking against or like thudding into their leathers or into their shields as they held them up, while some you hear the occasional like as like an eye is lost from a particularly deadly shot. Yonan is up on the top. He's going to throw a spear down at you in your war glory for 16.
I believe that will hit. Just let me double check. I should have altered my stats to compensate for not wearing chainmail.
Good.
15. No, because I have a shield, so that just misses me.
Okay. Yeah, so it whizzes by and sploosh into the water next to you. Tiard is going to try and stab you with a frog spear. Hrothvitnison. Let's see. That's going to be a 18 to hit.
I'm at 20.
Oh my god. Okay. So he tries to stab it into you. You move out of the way easily. He makes his second attack. That's better. That's 17 plus 6, so that's going to be 23, which will hit, unless you have something you can do.
Not to miss, but I will use the my reaction to reduce some damage.
Okay, no problem. The damage will be 12.
I rolled a 9 on the die, plus my berserker level is 6, so I'll negate 15. So he tries. But in this haze, like everything stands out from the background so clearly. All this fire kind of draws his attention right to where it needs to be. He's able to just move quickly out of the way, like singes of fire blasting past him and smoke as he moves.
Yep, this like enormous fire giant like stabs this giant spear at you, but you're able to like easily step out of the way. He's like so slow and clumsy because he's so huge. And he will use his bonus action to second wind, regaining 13 hit points. Ooh. Okay, that was Tiard. Harrow is dead, torn to pieces. Heike, you see a woman at the top of the bridge, Skjalmod, and she's like standing there, and she's like beating at her like naked breasts and like screaming. She raises both her hands up to the sky, and then she like will tie a rope around herself and leap from the bridge with a sickening crack and will die. Hrothvitnison, you are in front of this giant with the spear who like tried to kill you moments ago, and he stands before you.
Yeah, he's gonna look up and like see the smoke trails coming off of this giant, seem to almost show the shape of a wolf marking it as his next target. Sight from Odin showing him where he must go each step in battle. He's going to see like the spear move by and just kind of turn with a predatory glare towards this massive creature before lunging towards it. It's going to be an 18, a 21, and a 22.
Okay, he will use his parry to make the 18 miss, but the others will hit.
All right, so that is going to be a total of 19 bludgeoning and piercing damage then, as he's going to claw at it, using the Dunnerolf tooth in one hand to stab, trying to cut the heart out of this creature too, while clawing at it to keep its arm with the spear away.
Yeah, you slash into this fire giant, though he seems to be a powerful warrior. You can see like the scratches, and each time you do, there's like a white hot wound that seems to bleed fire onto the ground. But he still stands when your assault is done. Naki.
That was Chard, who's also the closest to Naki as well.
Yep.
So Hofrudsen probably wouldn't thank Naki for it, but Naki comes up behind him, and I don't know if he's got any kind of long hair or braids in his hair or anything. But whatever Naki can grab onto, he's going to put the foot in the back of his kneecap and then pull at whatever he can to unbalance him, and it's essentially the nostril pull him down to him.
Nice. Yep. Go for it.
So it's 24.
That hits.
And it's strength saving throw, a DC 14.
He fails.
Okay, so he's prone and disadvantage on the next round of attacks, and I'll just take my attack while he's down on the ground as well. For a 25.
Yep.
$15 points of damage.
That's going to do it. So you pull on this man's hair and kick him down onto the ground, and then just like drag your blade across his throat. Witness, and you can see somehow like Naki climb up the back of this giant as he's like focused on you, and he like takes his tiny little sword and like stabs it into the man's throat over and over again. And you can see like this golden light in Naki's eyes as he does so, and this like strange he's like wings on his back before like he pulls finally, and the blood spurts out hot on top of you, like burning your skin. And then there is a light that you can see Naki, familiar, and this like mist rolls in from nowhere. It wasn't there, and then it is cold. And you can see coming from the side where you are, from the center of the lagoon, as if he has come out of the water, this rower on half the boat, very slowly rowing towards where you and Hrothvitnison are. There's like immediate worry among the men who have been like just battering and killing these fen-folk around. I mean, there have been losses, but they haven't been too bad. But they see this thing, and you can like sense certainly in the outlaws a breaking occurring.
I think in Naki's mind, would Skjalmod have a horn call in case the rower showed up?
I think it was 2, wasn't it?
I think we organized that, yeah.
Was it 2? I mean, I imagine Hrothvitnison has the horn around him, but in his berserk state, I don't think he's going to use it. So I'll imagine Naki kind of drops down, grabs it, and blows twice.
So Skjalmod, you can hear that, and maybe it like confirms your worst fears. Although you probably imagined it when the mist rolled in from nowhere. that the rower has come, and many of the men with you like hear those calls. They continue fighting, but you can feel in them like a fear, certainly that's there. Hrothvitnison, you can like turn towards the direction of this light, and you can see Surt, like king of the fire giants, whose sword will burn the earth and erase all life from it, who will destroy the world at the end of Ragnarok. He like comes out of this lava, like stepping out of it. He's like 100 feet tall, and he's got this enormous burning blade in his hand as he like walks towards you. If you knew the emotion of fear, you would feel it.
If he knew, he would, but he doesn't. We'll just like look up at this enormous creature. Like all the fire in the land, still not enough to match the blade in this monstrosity. But Odin has decreed battle, and battle it shall be.
It will move at like frightening speed, rowing, although it looks like it's moving slowly. It will like come to the edge and row its boat onto the shore and step from it. And I will need, let me see. I'll need a con save from both Nocky and the wolf.
Oof, that is a 2 on the die, so an 8.
Okay. So there's this like stench that comes from it of rot, and of like the bad smell of the sea, like the sea on a hot day, when seawater is caught inside like a pool or something, very strong and pungent. You are poisoned until the end
I'm
of your next
actually
turn.
immune to poison.
Okay, then you're not.
As part of my berserker gain.
Okay. Naki?
Only poisoned.
Yeah, you'll be poisoned until the end of your next turn.
Okay.
It will then step forward and it's going to try and crush you like the bug you are, Hrothvitnison. So that will be... Okay, first... Oh, you're immune to fear as well, aren't you? Good God. The Berserker, though.
Yes.
Okay. It howls this like terrible sound. It sounds like a 500-foot wave crashing upon the shore. It sounds like the last breath that you would take before you drown. This like terrible sound. And I'll need a wisdom save from you, Naki.
Hey, this isn't going to be good. Oops. Nope, that's not going to be good. 11.
Okay, you're frightened for 1 minute. You can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Then it strikes out at Hrothvitnison for a 13 for the first. Misses. 28 for the second, which will hit. And a 22 will also hit. So it tries to, with its first, like chomp down on you. With like, it opens its mouth and it's way too wide and it has all these like flat teeth, like square teeth, and it tries to like bite down on you. It misses, and then it lashes out with a fist. It's going to be 8 and 21 for the first.
I'm going to reduce 11 of that.
Okay. And 16 for the second. And I need you to make a strength save, please, for each one.
Sure. a 19, but then a 13.
Okay. So with the second like strike, it will like also grab you at the end. It like grabs hold of your arm. You can feel like the burning sensation of Surt's hand on your arm as the fire giant, the king of fire giants, stares down at you, and you can smell his like fetid breath of sulfur upon you, and you're grappled. That's it for the rower. One of many at the top will like cheer seeing him return, and you'll see like an excitement come across many of the people here, and he's going to move towards like to get down the tower, but he gets to the edge and he's going to sling at you again, my lord. The first one is a catastrophic miss, just dunks into the water. The second one it will also miss. Too excited by the presence of the rower, he's like kind of lazily swinging them at you, and they dunk into the water around you. It's your turn.
I don't think Skjalvik thinks it's possible to get anywhere near the rower, even hearing the horn call, given what like the amount of space there is there, and he has to either fight his way through or row his way to. No rower is he, so he's just going to give the command for all the people with him to push towards Thorin's group, where he's going to kill away to the wolf and Noki.
Okay.
I'm going to give out 2 strike orders and say kill him, and point to one of many, and get 2 of the golden-haired Huskars to hack at him like pork.
Okay. Do you wanna
and I'll just begin moving my way towards the center.
Yeah, no worries. Do you want to roll attacks for those guys, please?
Okay, sure. A 12 and a miss.
Okay, and they are... Yeah, okay, the 12 will hit. Can you roll me?
Oh, sorry. I just realized I can't do 2 strikes because of the rule, so
Oh, yeah.
I'll just do 1 strike and 1 finish him, which means the next person to attack him will get to do 7 extra damage, 8 extra damage.
Nice. And then can you roll me 2d6, please, for the damage?
10.
Ooh, boy. It's going to be 18 damage in that strike for the thing, so that's a lot. So who did you leave at home and who's with you? Which Huskar is it?
Actually, I'll say that I would have done those to the Sworn Swords, because they're just as kind of good, and I know their names, Blonde Maga and Kjartan, Bolly's son.
Yeah, so it's Kjartan then. He like steps forward as you command, and will like smash the rim of his shield into the sternum of one of many, who will like bend, and then he'll like take the sword and like slash, like cutting deeply into his right arm. He's not quite dead yet, but the arm is like dangling from tendons from the strike.
I'll just keep up the chant, kill, 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 and be banging on my shield, pushing towards where Thorin's group is in the center, both to hearten the men, but also so that Hrothfitness and them can hear us coming closer, hopefully.
Yeah, there's like a crazy din, and like loads of the warriors with you are like chanting battle songs, telling these people that they are here to kill. Okay, yeah, there's an insane rain again from the various towers of slings and spears. I'll need all of you to make dex saves, please.
19 on the die again.
17 up for me.
9.
Okay, that's how much damage you'll take, checks, and the others will take 5.
Fantastic. Can I half that for the reaction?
Yep.
Technically not, I guess. So it's a save.
Oh, it's a save, yeah. It has to be attacked, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then no.
Okay.
Yeah, these things rain down around you. One of the spears catches you, knocking you in the shoulder as you like are standing terrified of this thing before you. At the front gate, there's still 2 of these slingers up on the very bridge, and they're going to sling down upon your fine gear, Skjalmod, with a definite miss and an 18 on the die, which will hit for 3 points of damage.
I'm very badly slung. I would appear very badly slung to my companions.
Yonan is going to run down and stand next to one of many, and he's going to try and swing for Kjartan, which he will succeed in. 17 on the die. Okay. And his second. Yeah. So Kjartan is struck twice by this Yonan, who has this 3-pronged spear. He holds it in both hands. And while he's focused on one of many, this Yonan will shove it into his side once and twice, leaving nasty looking wounds that will suck as he pulls the spear back out. But Kjartan still stands for now. And back to the top, Hrothvitnison.
He's gonna look up at this massive form, this giant that's holding him. You can feel the burn and the ash on his arm. But somehow no fear fills his heart still. And he's just going to look up at this thing. And going to attempt to just rake this thing across the arm a good couple times. It's going to be a 10, which will definitely miss, but then also a 21, another 21, and then a crit.
Whew, interesting. Okay, it will use its. It's called parry, but it's not. It's immunity to damage for one to make one of those miss, but the crit will obviously hit.
All right, so 2 hits then.
Yeah,
one of the 21s will still hit.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a lot. It's going to be 25 damage as he just starts raking and clawing at this arm that's holding him. Just more of the fingers, I would imagine, of this massive fire giant, at least as far as he can see it.
Did you say 21? 25?
25.
Okay. Nice.
I'm not sure. I doubt we get any of the big crits, but do I roll any crit effects on this guy?
Yes, you can roll a d10.
That's a 1.
Okay. Oh, and a d12, sorry, for the location.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you said arm, didn't you? Yeah, a few times.
Yeah. I'd imagine if he's grappling me, that would be the one kind of obvious choice.
Yeah, so you're just digging into the skin of this finger, and you can see the bone down below, and you reach down and gnaw on it. You cut across that, which is actually its forearm, and it will have disadvantage on attacks until the end of its next turn. As you tear away chunks of what to you is flesh and fire. Naki, you can see Hrothvitnison is grabbed by this thing, and then he's tearing into its arm, though it doesn't seem concerned.
Yeah, Fear has gripped Naki at this stage, and he's kind of turned and has begun to flee towards the tower in his confusion, and his kind of frightened state. So I imagine he's pushing people out the way, and as he parts a group of them, that's when the spear takes him, and he drops down and he looks back to see this happening, and he's going to make his roll to save from being frightened. I don't think there's anybody nearby that he can attack, is there?
No one on the initiative list. There's tons of fen-folk all over the place, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave that to the mercy of everybody else. 16 for the save. It was wisdom, I believe. So yeah, yes, 16.
16 is what you need. Yep. So you're able to shake it off, moving away from the thing a little bit. You're able to shake it off.
So I imagine he looks back and he sees Fenya actually running towards it. Absolutely no fear on her face whatsoever, just grim determination, which is what causes him to stop, pick himself up, and start running back.
Amazing. I just love Fenya so much. She's such a rad queen.
She's the best of us.
She is, yeah. So you run towards the thing. At the end of your turn, I forgot it has legendary actions. It sees you coming, and it looks back down to Hrothvitnison, and it like opens its mouth and it's going to try and bite him. Has disadvantage on this. Oh, you avoid a crit, Jeff. You lucky man. But it will still hit. Ooh, for 18.
All right, I'm gonna use my reaction to knock 12 off of that.
Yep, that's fine. Okay, and then it's its actual turn. It is going to. Ooh, it's interesting. See, when I play a monster with this many things, I'm always like, oh, what does it do, though? Okay, it's going to point a finger at Fenya, and it like whispers something. You, Hrothvitnison, hear Sir tell one of your allies that he will be the end of the world, and that there will be nothing left. And she just stops running. She stops moving entirely. And Fenya is both frightened, and while she is frightened, she is paralyzed. That's its action. So that's it for it. It's actually going to move with you grappled back into the water and drag you into it, Hrothvitnison. It'll move 40. So you'll be in water that's about 10 feet deep. And it'll like drag you under the water with it. Okay, that's going to be its turn. One of many is going to try and die nobly by striking down Kjartan. 14. That's a crit. Oh, Kjartan. At least it's not Magni. It's going to be 15. It's already taken 2. He's actually still alive. Can somebody roll me a d20 and a d12, please?
2 on the d20 and 9 on the d12.
Very nice. 9 is arm. Okay, so he like one of many takes out this like crude knife and like slashes with like the flint knife towards Kjartan, who like raises his sword hand to block, but he like cuts into the fingers, and Kjartan like involuntarily drops his sword onto the ground, but he will be able to pick it back up eventually. He didn't lose his fingers, thankfully. Skjalmod.
I'll just roar for the men around me to slaughter these savages and like try and stand in the midst, not actually fighting anyone, just being the one who's shiniest and yelling out. And then I'm going to dodge and hopefully waste all these slingers' action while men surge about me, dealing out slaughter. And I'll move with the crowd 30 feet towards the center and there take my dodge action and keep bawling and bellowing out orders across the battlefield to push in an easterly direction, slaughtering all the way.
I'd say at this stage you're probably like just about on that middle island.
Okay.
You would have moved last turn, and yeah, you'd be on the middle island, I think, at this stage, which is also where Thorin's people are. There's a big gathering though of these fen-folk like, in the tower. That's where most of the slingers are, and you can like move and command Kjartan to kill, and he'll like smash the rim of his shield into the face of one of many.
And the other guys with him too. I want to kind of like hack and push like Roman style as we go.
No problem. So they begin hacking around. Kjartan misses, unfortunately, with his shield.
If I can see dying heathen around me, I'll try and get Athelm or Harkon to like put them out of their misery and blood them young and bind them to me.
Yeah. They haven't shamed themselves yet by wetting themselves, the two boys, but you can tell that they're scared of what's happening. They haven't.
I'm scared of what's happening too.
They haven't seen the rower yet, so I don't think they understand yet what's going on over there. But I think you would have seen it, like carry Hrothvitnison under the water. Okay, that was Skjalmod. Okay, dex saves, everybody, please, except for Hrothvitnison, who is under the water.
13.
10.
Oh boy. Okay, it's only 2 damage. So you'll both take 2. Fenya, however, unmoving, will suffer a crit because she's paralyzed. It's going to be 8. All right, Jack's going to make you roll it. A d20 and a d12.
D20 and a D12. Let me find a D12. Okay, D20 is 19, D12 is 11.
Oh boy. 19's not good. Oh no. Fenya.
This is the man's swamp wife we're talking about here.
I know. There's a spear that like finds her and like pierces in through one side of her stomach and like out the other side, and then like pulls. There's this like spilling of red ruins at her feet as her entrails spill out onto the ground. I'm going to require you to make a wisdom save, Nucky. Actually, it really depends on how attached you are to Fenya.
It's more his plans for the future.
Yeah.
But I think that would start wrong. I think it's fair to go for a wisdom save.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a 10.
Okay. We'll figure this out after the fight, but you will gain a kind of madness from seeing such a horrible sight. Okay, you can spend 3 actions to make medicine checks, wound-wise checks, to try and stuff them back in and close the wound. And then she has to make con saves every day for 2 weeks. Yeah, so it is possible to save her. That will require 3 actions during this fight. Okay, yeah, that's fucking awful. Okay, the slingers are going to fire all around, down at you, Skjalmod, with disadvantage because of your dodge. First one misses, as is the second. They are trying, but you've got your shield raised maybe, or you're like in the thick of it and they're unable to get to you. Effectively, Yonan is going to strike out at Kjartan. And misses both times. I keep forgetting this thing of legendary actions. I'll do it now. It's going to try and bite you under the water. Roth Witnessing. Gets an 18, which misses. And then it's your turn.
All right, so I'll let you tell me. In this state that I'm in, would like the realization of being underwater, like actually, like would that, like would the actual reality of that set in, or no?
That's a good question. I think you might. You'd feel the sensation of being under the lava probably, and you would sense danger definitely. You know. Because I think you would try to breathe and not be able to, and then you would realize something's wrong. So you probably feel searing pain, you know, and like a sense of being trapped, but you're not fully aware, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it would even like how much of a deterrent that would be.
Yeah, it's so fair.
Yeah, I think I'll give it another go of of attacks before we go crazy. So this one significantly not as good as the last. So that's a 9 and a 13, which will both miss. a 23, but then another crit.
Okay, it will parry the 23, so it'll just be the crit.
All right, so that's going to be 13 damage then.
Okay.
And then a 3 on the D10.
3, okay.
And like you can feel this like pain like all around him, this like searing pain of being in the lava, but still gripped by this like massive giant. Like it almost seems like futile to try to break out of such the grip of such a titanic figure. So he's just gonna keep clawing at it for the time being, though feeling a bit of concern, still not fear, but definitely some sense of instinct that things are not going well.
You do so, and you like gnaw on like the exposed bone of the thing underwater. There's all this like murky water in your mouth. It will lose its action next turn from that crit, which is a nice one for it to have, but it does not lose its legendary actions, which it will take at the end of your turn and try and bite your head off. With a 17, which will miss you. Nocky.
So I've been pondering about how Nocky would react to this, and I think he actually would come to a sliding halt on his knees over the body of Fenya, and he would begin to at least attempt to stem the wound as best he can.
Yep. So give me a wound wise, please.
That'll be a 19 for the first one.
Okay. So it's like this awful grim task where you're like picking up entrails and like putting them back in and like trying to stuff them in and like your hands are covered and slick with blood. At least she's not screaming, she's still like paralyzed, and you're able to like at least she's not struggling, you're able to like put the bulk of them back in. Next will be putting them all in and then trying to close that wound somehow.
I imagine it's extremely disconcerting. Her eyes are open and staring up at Nocky as he's doing this.
Yep. Although there's no like expression on her face except for like the fear that she's felt right before she was paralyzed. Okay, at the end of your turn, Nocky, it's going to take a legendary action and try and bite Fitness's head off. 19 on the die, that will certainly do it. It's 20.
Which I will reduce 9 of that.
Okay, so you feel like take his huge sword and like slash it on your shoulder. The flames biting deep. Its turn. It doesn't get to take an action this turn because of the crit, and then it's one of many. Who is still standing? This boy. I don't know. He doesn't see the rower anymore. He might just. He can't run anywhere. This is his home. So we'll attack Kjartan with a definite hit. A definite hit.
He's got the ruined hand, though, right?
Kjartan has the ruined hand.
Oh, is it? Okay, my bad.
Yeah, Kjartan got some damaged fingers. He only does 11 total. Kjartan's down. So you see, like Kjartan, who had like dropped his sword because of like the wound in his fingers. He like clutches at his fingers for a moment, and one of many takes the opportunity, and he like shoves the flint dagger up under his chin, and Kjartan like staggers back, and then he like twists it, and Kjartan will hit the ground onto his knees and twitch once. Siamad.
I'll keep bellowing for those men around to finish off those men, like wrath and anger in my voice now at seeing Kjartan fall. Surprised that this like near naked man is still standing over there, but I'm not going to go back to contend with him myself. I'll just like eye one of the Huskarls till he goes over and actually kills him, and one for Yonan as well as we move, and I'll dodge boringly enough, and that's it for me.
No worries. So those are attacks that you're giving them?
No, I'm just telling them with my free action to kill those people.
I got you. Yep, no problem.
Because there's like more than a dozen warriors with me, as well as like the shit warriors as well. I know I can get them to do extra attacks by telling them, but I expect them to be slaughtering as well.
Yep. So pick someone who makes this attack. just so I can narrate it.
Blonde Magni.
Magni gets a devastating critical hit. He sees Kjartan, his friend, fall, and he screams out and holds the big axe that he uses in both hands, swings it overhead, and just will sever the head of one of many, and he'll roar and step forward towards Yonan as well.
If I was on the central island with a 30-foot movement, how far would that put me from where the wolf grapples with the rower in the water?
So the wolf in the water is probably, do you see those two docks
Yep.
on the island? He's on the far one from the island. So you would be, it's going to be 20 across that bridge, 20 to the first dock, 20 to the second. So 60 away.
60. That's after I move this turn or before I move this turn?
That's if you dash this turn, you could get to that second dock.
Okay, I won't. I'll move and dodge. Next turn, I'll do my thing if Jeff can hold on. But if I dash, I can't do anything anyway. And I could just be killed by slingers, inglorious as it is. So that's it for me.
You gotta do what you gotta do. At the end of your turn, it's going to take a legendary action and miss a bite. That was skill mod. Okay. I'll need a dex save from Nucky and from skill mod.
That's a nat 20 from Noki.
Another 13 for me. Oh no, I have dodge. Yeah, still a 13 for me.
Okay. You'll take 3 skill mod.
The slings and arrows will do for me. I'm nearly slain, bleeding out. Many arrow, shitty little arrows in me, and sling bruises across me.
1,000 cuts. Nucky, with your crit, I'll say that you see a spear coming, and you're able to knock it to the side. It was coming right for Fenya, and I'm going to give you a +2 on your wound wise. Okay, that's battle action. The slingers slinging down. Skjalmud miss the first and miss the second. So these guys are so determined to get you, but you are in the thick of it, and it's very hard to get a target on you. You can just hear the constant of bullets and the occasional of men getting racked by them. Yonan still stands. He's going to try and cut down Magni, but misses both times. Witnessing. I need a con save from you, please.
Yep. Is that just con save? I guess either way it's the same for me. That is 15.
Okay, you succeed. This is for breathing at this stage. It will get harder every turn. And you can go.
Yeah. You can feel the heat. He almost gasps for breath. And it feels the sensation of the lava going into his mouth and into his throat. And he can feel the burn even inside of him. But he manages to keep it together. But he's definitely feeling the stress of the situation. And the insurmountable giant still barely scarred against him. He's going to try to break free of the grapple with a 24.
Yep, you do it. You've weakened that arm. You can see the bone of the giant beneath, and you push and gnaw on the bone, and it lets go.
And then I imagine just from desperation to get away. I know this will probably be an opportunity because it's an action to break the grapple. But he's going to try to swim against the lava. He can feel it burning at his flesh. He doesn't want to be in it anymore. He can't. He's going to try to swim up.
Okay. So you can give me an athletics check, please.
Yes, sir. Oh, fuck. That's a 3 on the die, so still an 8, but...
Okay. So I'll say you can move half your speed instead of full with the swimming and the chaos of it. Although he misses you, and he tries to grab after you, can feel of the water, of the lava, moving, and there's a sort of an undertow that pulls you back down a little bit. Okay. That was Wolf. Nagi.
So you said an extra +2
Yes,
for
sir.
the wound wise. That'll make it a 17.
Okay, that's the lucky number. That's what you need. So you're able to stuff all of these intestines like inside. How they all fit in there, you have no idea. Your hands are like slick with blood, and it's just, you don't even know how you're supposed to do this. You're like trying to pull skin back together. And like some of the other like men around will like rush to your side and try and help as best as they can to rescue Fenya, for whom there is much affection. Okay, that was your turn. The rower. He is going to try and reach up and grab you, Rothvitnesen. Going to try to make his attacks. Let's see. Okay. Whew, it's a miss. That's obviously off the table because it's a Lloyd game. That's another miss. I don't believe it. 19 doesn't get you, right?
AC 20.
So you can feel this like insane force behind you as like the of the water as it's trying to like grab you, and it's almost like pulling you back down, but doesn't quite connect with you. 3 attacks at +12 and no dice. So it's like trying to get after you. It will then move and like surface again. And the water will pour from it. The strange creature of seaweed, one of many, is finally slain. Skjalvik.
As in, did you say the rower's slain?
No, one of many is.
Oh, I get you. Yeah. Finally. I'll move now. So I'm 30 feet from where Rothvitnesen battles in the water. And I will use Spear Din to give Rothvitnesen and like the 3 best Huskarls that I can see in amongst the fighting. Actually, no, not the Huskarls in amongst the fighting. The men who have come with me, 3 of them who are the best like throwers of spears, and I'll have those 3 attack the fiend and give Rothvitnesen an attack. Maybe as he glimpses up through like the shimmering lava, he can see like the flickering or swimming form of Skjalmod above, and like see me raise the horn to my lips and knows that it means to fight and fight on.
Yeah.
It just costs your reaction and the reaction of those 3 Huskarls, and I'll name them Skander, Aelfric, and the guy who stole the other guy's wife.
Gunnar. Yep.
Yeah. Give Gunnar another jab.
Skander nails it. He gets a 19 on the die, so he will hit for sure. For 7.
It is only a 16 for me.
Okay, that will miss.
Get there.
Second was Alfric. He gets an 18 on the die, which will also hit for 7. And Gunnar will miss, unfortunately. Throws a spear, but after the first 2, the thing like moves out of the way and it plumps into the water.
Allies around me now, which I assume includes Noki and Rothvitnesen and the other like shield brothers, all gain advantage on Constitution and Wisdom saving throws.
Nice. That's a big old game changer.
Kill!
That was Skjalmod. At the end of your turn, the rower is going to... Oh, it's in the water still, so it can't attack anyone. It's not... Oh, no, Rothvitnesen attacked it, so it will attack him. It's going to hit. $13.
Um, 13 damage.
Yes, sir.
I will use my, because I have 2 reactions. So the first one was the attack. The second one I will use to reduce damage.
Nice.
Which is gonna take 11 off of it. So I'll take 2.
Okay. All right. That was Skjalmod's turn. Then I will need deck saves from Skjalmod and Nocky.
Yay! I've succeeded. 18.
I can't math. 14.
Okay. So Skjalmod, you'll take 1. Nocky, you'll take 2.
Okay.
The fen-folk slingers are now out of range of you, Skjalmod. So they're doing whatever business they're doing on the other side of the map. And Yonan, your turn is when Magni goes. He's going to try and kill Yonan. Which will easily manage. So like the camera pans away for a moment, like back to the slaughter that's happening like on the bridge and on the island, and you can see like blonde-haired Magni, like with his big axe, like swing it over his head, and he like kicks Yonan in the chest and like buries the axe in his chest, and screams to the Allfather as blood sprays onto his face. And that's a scene that gets repeated around the place. Everywhere that you look, your men are killing. And killing and killing and killing. There's a lot of death. And the water is near red with the amount of blood that's been spilled.
Probably looks like fire if you were looking at it from high enough.
And the wolf. All right. I'll fit this in.
Am I still underwater at this stage?
I think you just about surfaced.
Yeah, so he's gonna like make it up. Finally, he can still feel the lava like burning like from his like chest down. But he can bring his head up and breathe the air. Feel just like the slight coolness on his face from surfacing. And I think for now he's going to try to see if he can lure this thing back up. He's going to disengage. And move up onto the dock and out of the water, hoping that it will follow.
Okay. No problem. So you disengage and move up onto the water. You can see Skjalmod Hrothvitnison, who like looks near death. He's like bleeding incredibly heavily. You can definitely like tell by the look of him that there are broken bones. Like his ribs are protruding at strange angles as he like pulls himself from the water. And he's like coughing, or like not even coughing. He's just like breathing out water. It's like dribbling from his mouth and nose as he like steps like an afterganger back onto the surface away from death. Nocky.
Nocky's hands covered in blood almost up to the elbow at this point. He's mumbling over and over again to Fenya.
Oh, we lost checks.
How's that?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Did you hear any of that?
We heard that he's muttering to Fenya over and over again.
Yeah, I need you yet. And he'll look up to one of the outlaws that have kind of surrounded this morbid scene, and he's going to get one of them to basically pierce holes in the skin with a knife, while he grabs Fenya's bow and cuts the gut string from it and starts to thread it as he rolls a 17 on the last check.
Yes. I'm so happy about that. Glory.
Rolled a 15 in the die, you get 2 plus 2.
Oh my god. I'm so pleased about that. Yeah. So you're able to do that, like string the bowstring through and like pull tight and like close the wound. It'll need serious looking at back home, but it'll do for now. It'll keep her guts inside. At least she hasn't felt the pain. Okay. Oh, I'm so pleased about that. At the end of your turn, the thing is going to come out of the water. And as it does so, I'll need you, Skjalmod, who are now in range, to make a con save, please.
Oh, 11.
You're poisoned from the stench of this thing. It steps forward and is going to, let's see, what's it going to do? There's now a bunch of warriors before it. It's already done Doom. Okay, yeah, it's going to step forward and make a round of attacks. One on each of the Huskarls. 19.
Come on, mate.
Where'd it go? It's just standard practice at this stage. Gotta appease the floor gods. Okay, the second one will hit. The second one was Alfric, right? And the third will miss Gunnar. So Scanner takes an insane blow from this thing. It like reaches out and backhands him, and he goes flying. And he's bloodied in one hit from the thing. Knocks him back, and he lands next to you. Though he kind of shakes his head and like goes to rise. Alfric suffers similar, but Gunnar is able to duck under the blow and stands before it still. That's its turn. One of many is slain. Skjalmad.
I'm going to order everyone to like pick up spears and hurl spears into the thing. It's massive, so it should be easier to target and easier to contend with from range than up close, as myself and Thorin and now Hrothvitnus and Skandin know well. So I'll hurl my own spear for a 19 to hit.
That actually misses.
Fuck. It just like flies over his shoulder and plops uselessly into the dank blood-strewn water. I'll just be bellowing, probably mindless, don't even know at this stage. I'm fearing and angered and grief-stricken and everything else in the maelstrom of emotion of slaughter. So, but yeah, I think the intent is clear, and I imagine other warriors begin to like heft spears and hurl them at the thing either. Glad that I've not told them to commanded them to charge in and engage it.
Yeah, they nod in assent, and they will throw on your turn. Okay, so Skander misses. Alfric will hit. Six. Gonna crit it. 9 and a D10 from you, Lord, please.
10-sided D. 4.
Okay. So it actually like raises its hand to like block the spear, and the spear goes right through it. It would drop anything it's holding. It would suffer disadvantage on actions until the weapon is withdrawn from its hand. So like the spear pierces through into its hand and like out the other side, and it like looks at it for a moment. Yeah, right. Good man, Gunnar. That was Skjalmad's turn. Okay, dex saves, everybody, please.
Fail.
15.
Fail.
Okay, if you failed, take 4. If you succeeded, which is a 15, you will get 2. The slingers are in another part of the battle, as is Yonan. Legendary actions. It will take a legendary action at the end of Yonan's turn to pull the... Oh, I can't do that. That's a bonus action. What else can it do? Oh, yeah, this is good. It points at you, Skjalmad, and like mutters something in this strange language, and you feel your sword wriggle in your hand. You like look down, and your sword has become a snake. It's like curling around your hand.
Sorcery.
Sorcery. So it will do that as legendary action. Yes. Okay, Hrothvitnus.
Yeah, still like spitting water, coughing up lava and smoke, at least through his eyes it is. He's going to like see the rain of light of spears towards this thing, and see that his plan to get it out back up in the open has worked so far. And he's going to lead the valiant charge back in. He's going to engage with this thing, try to destroy it. It's going to be a 10, which is definitely not going to do it. An 18, which I also think is not going to do it.
Yep, 20 is what you need.
23 and 24.
Okay. It will. Yep, it will parry the 23.
Alrighty, so that'll just be one hit then, which will be for 10.
Nice.
Piercing.
Okay. Yep. You like grab a chunk of its leg and like pull some meat away. Although beneath there is just roiling lava from what you can see. At the end of your turn, it's going to try and punch you in the mouth and knock your head off. But it misses with an 18. And Nucky, your turn.
So, Nucky's telling some of these outlaws to pick Finny up and get her to safety, to put her back in the boat. And as he turns around and sees the rower, he picks up the closest thing at hand. He picks up a rock with that spiral pattern on it. He picks it up and the blood from Fenya defaces the spiral pattern as he lifts it above his head, runs forward and hurls it at the rower for a 22 to hit.
Glory. Yep.
Do you just want this improv damage on that?
Yep, that's fine.
So that'll be 4. But it is going to be a nosebreaker attack.
Oh, sick.
Which I believe is a dex save.
Ooh.
DC 14.
Fails it.
Okay, it has disadvantage on perception and attacks for 1d4 rounds.
Okay, roll d4.
3.
Nice. Okay, so you like throw this rock, and like although it like hits it in where its nose would be, it's actually the desecration of the rock with the blood that is what's giving it the disadvantage. Such sacrilege to its sacred symbol. That was Nucky. At the end of your turn, it will try and destroy Fitnessing with disadvantage. We'll still get a 22. It'll be 11 only.
It'll be
Nice.
reaction.
Excellent. Okay, that was Nucky's turn. Its turn. It is going to try and horrify. No, it's just going to kill people. That's smarter. It's going to unleash a round of attacks. So its first will miss you, Roth Witnessing. Second is a 23. The third will miss, unfortunately. That's better. That's 16 damage.
All right, that's gonna do it. The end of the world has come for Roth Witnessing. The fire giant is too strong.
Yeah, you are not fated to kill it. No one is. Surt's destiny is to destroy all that is. And you can like watch it happen as you like fall backwards and hit the ground. You can see him like raise his huge sword and thunk it into the earth, and all of the trees, everything that exists is burned. The world tree, most of it is burned. Though 2 humans will survive. You know this to be true. That was its turn. Skjalmad.
How many men are standing hereabouts at the moment, and how many do they have to contend with other than the rower?
So I have like the 3 who you had mentioned who are like with you and like are acting in the initiative, while the rest are like around fighting fen-folk and things like that.
So there still is fen-folk here to fight.
Yeah.
And is Roth Witnessing down, like dying?
Unconscious, yeah.
I don't think strap on it. Okay, I don't think strap on a pair as far as removing a condition. You can remove the condition of that, right?
I don't think so, no.
I'll call for Noki to... Actually, no, that finish him is... That just gives him an extra...
Damage.
9 damage. That's not really worth an action. I'll do Wolfpack Strike and just hurl another javelin at the rower.
Okay.
Okay, 15 on the die. My to hit is 6, I believe. Yep, so 21 to hit.
That'll do it.
Okay, with the Wolfpack Strike, I get to add a d8 to the damage. And the next ally that hits that target, that attacks that target, has advantage on it. And it will take 12 plus strength 3, 15 piercing damage.
Ooh. Good lord. Okay. Yeah, so you throw the spear throw and it catches it like in the collarbone and like thunks in deep and stays there. Immediately afterwards, Skander is going to throw with advantage.
After I've thrown that one, I'm going to move into the alcove or like cover of a building from those spears that rain down, because one more will kill me.
Very reasonable. Skander gets a motherfucking natural 20. This boy. Do you want to roll me 2d8s for damage and then a d20 and a d10, please? No, sorry. Just give me damage first.
4 damage from 2d8s. I roll poorly. And a d10 and a d20?
No, a d12 and a d10, sorry.
Okay, well, the d10 is a 6 and the d12 is a 6.
Okay. Ooh. Tricky with this. So it his throw like sails well and like into the hollow of the elbow of the thing and like sticks there. And there's like this strange like liquid pouring forth, this like black sort of greenish ichor. It is stunned until the end of Skander's next turn. So the end of your next turn, Skjalmod. Yeah, there's more, but that's the important bit. So yeah, this thing it has like a spear lodged in its hand and one in its elbow, and it's just not able to move as quickly as it should. And then the other two boys go. Do you want to roll for them, Nico? We've got Alfric and Gunnar, and because he's stunned, I think they have advantage.
Alfric will definitely hit. He got a 17 on the die.
Nice.
And the other bot 17 on the die as well.
Nice. Okay, so then a d8 from each of them, please.
3 and 2, so 5 all up.
That's it. The boys. So you like throw that wolf pack strike and like throw the spear. It's followed up by Skander, who like hits it in the elbow, and as the thing kind of stands there, the other two like get close and like do a running throw, and then like one in the chest and another one like into the stomach of the thing. It's pierced by so many spears. It like steps forward and like onto one knee and like looks up, and like the light of the lantern type thing within its chest sort of flickers for a moment. And it like slumps forward onto the island that you're on, and almost immediately begins to like dissolve. The seaweed of its body starts to just like become seaweed, and like whatever was underneath seems to be vanishing with like amazing alacrity. Seeing that, like you can hear cries of joy from your men and like cries of absolute terror from the fen-folk, most of whom now are slain. There are some still stuck in the tower who will like fight to the bitter end, but now with this thing slain, you have so many warriors here, it's not going to be a problem. Yeah, and the thing like falls finally, and Hrothvitnison, you can like see as you like open your eyes, the Valkyries descend to batter Surt, and behind them Odin on Sleipnir, like riding down, throwing spears. Okay, so that's a victory, though costly. There'll be quite a few deaths involved. Any last thoughts?
Just to like slaughter every fen-folk that the people can find, and although the place is wet and dank, the inside of their hovels would not be. So if there's where they could start the fires, throw the head, if there's something of that left of the rower, into the lap bowl of the stag god, mocking it along with the heads of one of many and others, before rip it down and all the rest with it, bring this place into complete ruin.
Glory. There's joy for the very many warriors who have been pent up and have had no battles to fight, and they take particular joy in like ruining this place and burning it to the ground, like a sacking of a town. Is a good way to keep an army happy.
Any women or children who submit, like who surrender, will not be put to the sword, but can be made thralls by those people who conquer them. They will take no thralls from here.
Yeah.
Into like Skjalvik, it would be fitting.
Yeah, a lot of the men will take women, certainly as thralls, and bring them back. Although the menfolk are all killed, and it's grim. It'll take hours to like burn the place and desecrate it fully and like destroy everything here. And in that time, Hrothvitnesen and Fenja are like brought back towards Skjalvik, and to the somewhat knowledgeable Skjalvik who might be able to heal them. But yeah, you can like stand at that central island, Skjalmod, and see like the rain of destruction all around and like, the fires burning, and the fen-folk have been crushed beneath your mighty iron boot. And that's where we'll end it for today.
Glory.
Thanks very much, gents. And we'll see you next time if you watched. Thanks.